One of the biggest narratives I've seen pushed online is that Alfred Collins is an absolute bust, but after this most recent Saints game, he really showed off his development, putting pressure on Spencer Rattler, as well as routinely shedding double teams and even finding his way into the backfield. This isn't me saying he's a complete player just yet, as he is a rookie, and a rookie that's really transferring schemes from one at Texas, where he was a read and react player, to one in San Francisco's wide 9 defensive front that really prioritizes a defensive lineman's ability to penetrate into the backfield. But I am saying he's a rookie who showed off a ton of development from week 1 to week 2, so in this video, we're going to dive a little bit more deeply into his film to see what he did well as what he struggled with, so we can fully understand the player San Francisco is getting not only headed into this season, but over the next 4 years at least. Initially, to start out, I did want to look at his pass rush because he has had a ton of success on a limited amount of reps, with probably his best move being his swim move, where he's not only able to take advantage of his long arms, but also his lateral agility. To illustrate this point, on this play, Saleh is running a stunt with Collins and Williams, with Collins slanting in front of this guard and tackle's face to draw the double team, but he has a pretty great plan coming into this play. He's going to be using 2 swim moves to get by both of them. And it's not even just his plan here, but also his execution. Here specifically, I want to pay attention to his hands, and right here when this guard tries to punch him, he comes and attacks it with his hand to disrupt the guard's block, and then comes over the top with his swim move, and because of his size and power on this play, he's able to disrupt this tackle's base, and once he's completely unstable right here, he stops almost on a dime, gets extremely skinny, and comes back the other direction on a swim. Then he finishes his play showing off his great closing burst, and while unable to get the sack here, he is able to hit Rattler, which I do think makes the quarterback uncomfortable in the pocket. Another part of Collins' pass rush I like seeing in this most recent Saints game is how he wasn't overly reliant on his swim move. When it didn't work out, he just transitioned into another move. On this play, for example, with Collins slanting to the outside, this tackle does a great job of timing up his punch to Collins' pass rush, which disrupts his swim move, but without hesitation, he transitions into a rip move, and this puts pressure on Rattler as well as Upton Stout's blitz. As much as I like Collins' pass rush, the fact is San Francisco drafted him to be their next dominant defensive tackle against the run with the ability to take on double teams, which he really did show off against the Saints. On this inside run from the Saints, for instance, 51 and 75 are attempting to double team Collins up to the second level, but because Collins is such a strong player, he doesn't get driven back at all and is actually able to throw 51 across his face, jump into Alvin Kamara's hole, and gets him to bounce outside right into Bosa's hands, but that's not enough as he also chases down this play and helps bring him down. Power wasn't the only way he was able to beat double teams throughout this game though, as he also did a great job of getting skinny in the hole and then exploding through the double team. Here on this play, for example, 77 and 78 are attempting to double team Collins up to the second level, but because he's able to maintain a low pad level, they don't get very far, and then immediately Collins is looking to shed 78's block and get skinny in the hole. He's using all of his momentum right here to get as skinny as possible. Then as soon as he gets past 78's block, he's exploding through this hole, and right here I would argue this is a hold. He's clearly impeding him from making the tackle and tackling him down to the ground. Collins also does a nice job when facing double teams of using his length to allow his arms to make the tackle on the back. Here on this play, for instance, the Saints once again are using 77 and 78 to attempt to double team Collins up to the second level, but Collins maintains a low pad level for a player that comes in at 6'6", and then quickly sheds 77's block, so he only has to take on 78's block, and then quickly identifies Alvin Kamara coming right behind him, so he's able to put out his left arm on this play, and because he is a pretty strong player, he brings him in for the tackle here. Outside of Collins' ability to take on double teams, he also showed the ability to reset the line of scrimmage throughout the Saints game. Here on this play, for instance, if Okuanu was able to set a stronger edge and not be driven up the field, Collins absolutely manhandles his tackle. He's not able to drive him at all and really causes Kamara to bounce outside right here. In a similar way on this play, Collins demonstrates not only his ability to reset the line of scrimmage, but also mitigate the weaknesses in San Francisco's defense. On this play, for example, Robert Saleh is sending the blitz with San Francisco's defensive line slanting to the left side. Meaning on this play, Collins is responsible for 2 gaps, and seeing that Alvin Kamara is trying to bounce outside, he doesn't keep slanting, but quickly is able to change his momentum, and because of his length on this play, he's able to get a little bit of Kamara and slow him down and ultimately help bring him down on this play. Another underappreciated aspect of Collins' run defense, in my opinion, is just how athletic he is for a player of his size, which routinely allows him to find his way into the backfield, and then he eats up gaps because he is such a big player. Almost instantly on this play, with Collins slanting in front of the center's face for instance, he finds his way into the backfield, comes through with his hands, and if Mykel Williams wasn't there to make the play, Collins would have been. And in a similar way in his pass rush, Collins is able to routinely pull out his swim move, which is highly effective on guards because of his length. On this play specifically, Collins is able to quickly identify this guard lunging at him, so he uses a hand swipe in combination with the swim move to quickly beat his block, and while he is able to find his way into the backfield and almost make the tackle on Alvin Kamara, he needs to do a better job of breaking down. The final positive to Collins' run defense I wanted to touch on before moving on to his weaknesses is just the pursuit and motor he showed off throughout this game. Whenever a play was going away from him, he didn't just give up, but he relentlessly pursued it, which was impressive for a player of his size. This pursuit also helped clean up tackles, like here on this play, West and Fred Warner missed this tackle on this back, but Collins is right there to clean it up. With all these positives to Collins' game, he is a defensive tackle that's a rookie, so he definitely has some areas of concern headed forward and some areas I would definitely like to see him continue to improve throughout this season. With probably the most notable in my opinion being his pad level. Because he is 6'6", often he'll get a little bit too tall in his pad level, which will take away his power, and guards will be able to drive him down the field. On top of that, I would also like to see Collins develop a true bull rush. He has the length and size to be extremely dominant there, but he's yet to develop one that's really been effective. In conjunction with that, he can be overly reliant on his swim move at times, so he needs to continue to add tools to his arsenal. Collins will also have to prove he can consistently play at the level he did against the Saints and continue to improve throughout the season, as so far, it's really been an up and down year for him. But overall, when I'm looking at Collins, I see a player with all the physical tools to be one of the more dominant defensive tackles across the National Football League, and given his development from week 1 to week 2, I'm going to bet on him, especially with coaches like Robert Saleh and Chris Kasarik. So ultimately, if he is able to remain healthy and continue to improve as a defensive tackle, I really wouldn't be surprised to see him end up being one of the better defensive tackles San Francisco has had in more recent years. These are just some of my thoughts on San Francisco's second round pick and Alfred Collins out of Texas, and I want to hear your thoughts about him down below. Do you think he can develop into a truly dominant defensive tackle like I do? Or do you think he'll end up being a player more like Javon Kinlaw, who eventually becomes an okay run stuffer, but never lives up to his second round billing? It would also mean a ton to me if you did enjoy this video. If you could go ahead and like and subscribe, it truly helps out the channel a ton. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.